So we're here on the first interview for the Cape Reef Club podcast, and with us is Josh. So Josh is a ex-reef keeper, but will be a reef keeper one day again. And I saw him on Instagram, where there's just this beautiful feed of nature, and it's fresh water and marine tanks and everything. And I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I thought he's some pro and contacted him because I wanted to get this pro on board who's clearly like very good at photography and probably has a team behind him. And turns out he's a student at Stellenbosch University. So we contacted him. So he's our first student member as well, which we're very excited about. We're trying to reach out to more students. But yeah, Josh, great to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am very happy to be here. I really like the initiative. I really feel like reef keeping needs to be uplifted in the Western Cape. So this is very excited to be here.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, you've been keeping reef tanks for a while, or at least aquariums. So how did it start? What was your first tank? How did you get into it?
Okay, so I think it all started from a really young person. I have been watching YouTube, and then my grandmother first introduced me to nature things like gardening. So then I ended up on the nature side of YouTube, and then I found fish and fish tanks. So I started watching videos, and I begged my parents for years. Eventually I got, as everyone kind of starts, I got like a little goldfish bowl, and that was as a little person, and I love those little goldfish. I named them, funny enough, after JP Morgan, the bank in the USA, because I was impressed with my uncle at the time and his investments. So
nice.
And it started out, it was actually quite funny. My mom thought, okay, at this time you must wash a fish tank with soap. So you take all the fish, put them in a bucket, clean out the whole thing with soap and sanitize it, and then put them back. And then she was like, oh, this is the biggest mission in the world, never doing this ever again. So then I had to wait until like primary school until I could get my first fish tank again after years of convincing her.
Like primary school even?
That was like maybe 6 years old or 5. And then halfway through primary school, then I finally convinced her, okay, I can get a fish tank again. But this time I was a bit more fit. I could do more myself. So instead of her doing all the work, I started doing all the work. And I think that impressed her a bit. So then that was my first little 60 centimeter freshwater tank. But
Whoa.
I still always wanted marine because this was freshwater. It was easy. It was nice. But my feed, everything I watched on YouTube was all marine because I thought, okay, freshwater is cool, but this is where I really want to be. So after researching for years and saving up, eventually I got my first marine tank secondhand, actually. I think it was grade 10 or so, grade 8 even, grade 9. Beginning to mid of high school. Yeah. And that's how I got into it. It was mainly YouTube. I think that was Instagram and YouTube were the major social media driving factors that actually got me into the reef keeping hobby.
Oh, amazing. And I mean, so you now went to university, your second year mechanical engineering, right?
Yes.
And you had to give up your tank?
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of factors to this. Being someone in school with a marine tank, I'm very dedicated to my hobbies, but I also didn't have a lot of money. So if there was a way to compensate for equipment with effort or with maintenance, I would do that. So my tank was maybe quite a lot more maintenance than you'd expect for a normal marine aquarium because I skipped over so many expensive things by doing things myself. And I used a lot of these DIY projects, which I can talk about later, which made my life really hard. So this really, in the end, it all built up and it made it way too hard to handle and things started to die, sadly. Some corals, the fish and the other corals I ended up giving away. But the first sign when I thought I can't do this anymore was when some of the more sensitive corals started to die. And I was like, okay, this is not working. I'm gonna have to take a break. And it was also a good time for me because I had been doing it for very long and put all my effort into it. And I was a bit tired of all the things going on. I really just had to have a break and be away from home for a little bit and focus on studies. And it worked out
that's
really
great.
well.
I think that's very responsible. And I'm excited to hear about the DIY project. It's something that a lot of new reefers coming in, everything seems super expensive, but your insight there that it's you're paying for convenience and you can just get it at the elbow grease and do it yourself. I mean, that's an amazing lesson for everyone to learn.
No, exactly.
So the tank you had, will you describe it? What was the stock? What was in there? What fish did you have?
Okay, cool. So it was a Boyo TL550. So that It's a pretty like standard tank for freshwater saltwater. I think it's about
Yeah.
128 liters or like 36 US gallons. So it's practically nano.
Mm.
It's taller than it is wide, but it's basically like a square. But one big thing about this tank, which I actually ended up hating the most, and we can talk about why later also, is because it had a curved glass in the front. And
Yeah.
that is especially relevant with photography. It is the absolute. It made me really dislike curved tanks. It's such an issue. Um, I didn't actually get it with a lid, so I got it secondhand for pretty cheap. It didn't have a lid, but it had a net, a jump net at the top.
Okay.
And then I also bought I don't even know how to say it, a Noopshai K7 Pro 2 light. So this is one which is not very it's not prominent here in South Africa. I think it existed quite a lot in the US. This person brought it over from overseas and they used it very little. But it worked really well. I hung it with string from the roof over my tank. Inside the tank, the main members was an Ocellaris clown. There was a Springer's demoiselle, which is those little like blue damsels.
Yeah,
There
beautiful.
was, a mandarin dragonette, which
Oh, wow.
was one of my favorite fish, but also one of the ones which was always hiding. I think it was my oldest fish as well. But I mean, he was always in the shadows. Came out at night.
Yeah.
There was a porcelain anemone crab, which was probably one of the biggest personalities in the whole tank. I really
Amazing.
loved that guy. There was also a cleaner shrimp and a bunch of snails. And when it comes to coral, there was a pretty wide range, I think, in the end of LPS, SPS, and soft corals. But I never actually ventured. I never ventured into the non-photosynthetic. That is something I must still do in the future.
But I mean, SPS, that's impressive for such a small tank. That's something
Yeah.
people struggle with.
Yeah, it was very unconventional the way I kept those, which is also one of the reasons why it became so hard. But macroalgae, which we can talk about, was the thing that saved my SPS. The only reason why I was able to grow them nicely was because of macroalgae. But it also made my life hell. The maintenance, because it was growing inside my tank. It was not in a sump. So I basically had like a mixture tank. It was like a half macroalgae, half coral tank. And it really was pretty stable this way, but it was insane to try and keep it from falling apart all the time.
Yeah, I'm not saying you started it necessarily, but it's starting to become very popular now. So,
yeah, it is all of a sudden. I didn't even, when I put it in, I didn't actually expect it to become like a main feature. It forced itself to be a main feature. I just accidentally put it in the wrong part of my tank.
And I see a lot of people coming from freshwater, and they like that idea of the plants taking up the nutrients and just want to translate that.
There's one Instagram person who, I think their name is Tigger Boy. I can find their URL sometimes. It's really the most amazing macroalgae tanks. He's from the US, and it's super inspirational. The things that he makes is so beautiful. Macroalgae, there's such a diversity. It's actually something that is really worth looking into, especially the less invasive species. I had some really bad invasive type species in my tank, which is what kept it so stable, but what made it so high maintenance. So if you really get the slow growing, high maintenance macroalgae, it can complement really nicely.
So, I mean, you broke the tank now. You have a lot of time on your hands. I assume engineering isn't that busy. So, have you been daydreaming about your next tank? What's the plan?
Yeah, so last year it was very interesting. Last year was very busy. I was doing things all the time and I wasn't really thinking about it. I was getting a well-deserved break. But since the beginning of this year, every day I'm longing more and more for a tank. I'm realizing I cannot live longer without one. I have to save and get it started up again.
Nice.
It was like one of the most fulfilling hobbies I've ever had in my life. It helped me through high school. It's something really special because it's super artistic. For one, you get to really make something and watch it grow. It's a long-term art piece and you learn so much. You meet amazing people. I really miss it so much every single day. The plan is to get home soon and get back into it.
And what's the plan then? You want to go full SPS? You want to do a nano again?
Okay, so for one, I would like a tank that's longer than it is tall. So the Boyo TL550 was taller than it is long, which is it's actually a nice challenge for building rockscapes or corals. and you can get a really nice range from the low light to the high light in like in a short area. But I really enjoy the possibilities you get with having a longer tank. Your fish will be happier, they have more space to swim. You can create more interesting scapes because it's not stuff collapsing all the time. And I think definitely a bit bigger. I'm thinking at least 200 liters. Still maybe
Yeah.
not huge, but still big enough so that I can have a nice diversity of corals and some more fish, or some more interesting fish.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I
you can get
plan,
some smaller
yeah,
tanks then even.
yeah, exactly. And I'll definitely keep the Boyu 550, which is one of my
Hmm.
big mistakes from last time. Saving money, I only had one tank. Now I
Yeah,
realized a quarantine tank is essential, unless you have someone to quarantine for you, but I mean, it's much nicer to do it yourself. So the Boyu
absolutely.
550 will definitely become a quarantine tank. And then I'm gonna
Yeah.
look for secondhand again, but be more careful with it because there were some issues with this one, so I need to really pick and choose who I buy from. But I'm thinking like still a mixed reef. I really like mixed reefs, but definitely focus on SBS because for me they are the main reef building corals. They make
Yeah.
a reef look like a reef. Everything else is so cool, it's alien. It feels like you're walking on some aqua planet somewhere in the galaxy. You don't think you don't think that's in the ocean somewhere. The SBS is kind of like the characteristic corals of what you think would be in a coral reef, but
Yeah,
they
no,
really
absolutely.
create shapes really nicely. The other ones, like most of the LPS, they make really nice movement and flow, but they're not so structured. You
Mm.
know, they become like these blobs of flow, which is really nice in certain aspects. But with the
Mm.
SBS, you can bring out your artistic side really well. With the
Yeah.
SBS, you can really pick and choose how you want things to grow really well. So I do plan to focus a lot on that, and I want to test myself with the difficult stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
And would you have a sump now? The Boyu was a all-in-one, right?
Yeah, so that has a sump at the back, which was also kind of problematic because it's super tall and thin. You have to,
Oh
it's like
man.
the length of my arm, but it's also the size of my arm. So it's not very easy. I definitely
Yeah.
want to have an external sump with a
Nice.
pump system so that I can even maybe one day keep mangroves in my sump, which is also a weird topic in this country. It's not so easy to get a hold of mangroves, but
Yeah.
that's definitely a plan.
No, that's awesome, man. I hope you get there soon. So, I mean, you're at university. Do you find people around you who are into the hobby, or is it just no one on campus understands when you're finding over your old clownfish?
So yeah, that's one thing that's very complicated. I found out about university. I even just side but related. I like music, and I thought when I get to university, I will be part of the music department, and I'm gonna be in bands, and I'm gonna find my people. And then I get there, and I don't have access to anything, and I don't meet anyone, and that is music. Everyone loves music. There's so many
Mhm.
musicians. Now, if you think reef
Yeah.
keeping, it's so niche. Just by asking people, by meeting people, you almost guaranteed to never find anyone. I have found everyone thinks it's interesting, but no one really
Mm.
cares about it enough to understand or talk about it. It's a real struggle. University feels
Yeah.
very segregated when it comes to hobbies that are not in the general populace for popular things like gaming. You'll find gamers, you'll find people who like Dungeons and Dragons, but to find someone who likes reef keeping is half impossible, which
Yeah.
is also another reason why this club is such a good idea, and to maybe open a branch in Stellenbosch would be great because it gives a platform for people who have the interest to come together. Finding them without a platform is impossible. I have had no success.
No, no, absolutely. I would love to get students on board. There's a lot of different campuses around the Western Cape, and some of them have very good, I mean, including Stellenbosch, have marine biology departments. I mean, we can get people on board who are specialists who are learning that side of the, but also
Exactly, yeah.
get new young people in and, I mean, explain the stuff you've learned about being able to build a tank with a lot of effort, but not that much funds available. That's
Yeah.
a cool story. And as you said, I mean, it's creating beauty. It's also, I mean, it's proven to be good for your mental health, at least when it goes well. And it's a fun thing to bond around, and it gives you appreciation of the ocean and the beauty of nature. So, I mean, to the main topic that we actually wanted to talk about, the
Yeah.
photography. So, as I said, I found you on Instagram. The photos looked amazing.
Yeah.
and now hearing it, you were in high school when you're taking them. So do you have
Yeah.
any tips that that this hobby of photography, is it just something connected to the reef keeping hobby or the aquarium hobby? Is it something you do more generally?
Okay, so photography, I think I started even much younger when my mom, she gave me her camera, which was a Canon Rebel T6. It's like at the cheaper end of DSLR cameras. But I joined my primary school photography club. I participated very readily there. I had a really good teacher in charge of it, which is one of the big things when it comes to promoting these things young, is having someone who's really good at it, or someone who's really amazing teaching you. It brings out passion like nothing else. So I started taking pictures of things all the time for artistic value. And one day I realized, like, a picture, people say a picture speaks 1,000 words. So I realized if I want to document something or a journey, or I want to keep track of how things change over time, it's a lot easier to take photos than to write down. Let's say you want to say, okay, you got this coral on this day and it looks this good, and you write down in your diary, like, okay, it's got this, like, this is its health, it has this issues and that. If you take a single photo of it, you have a timestamp, you can see all the things of how it looks. And I found this with all my hobbies. So then I thought, okay, now photography is the one thing which spans all my hobbies. I'm able to utilize it in plants, in music, in corals, and I can keep track of things really nicely over time. Also bringing in the aspect of artistic value and trying to take it for pleasure, not only for documenting things. So it's basically like the hobby which grew with all of my other hobbies.
No, I mean, taking photos of a reef tank is particularly hard. You have the blue
Yeah.
light, you have the reflections, you had curved glass.
Yeah.
So, walk us through what your approach was to take a shot. Do you have any tips and tricks?
Yeah, so I think first the biggest one, which most people actually don't seem to take advantage of at all, is patience. I would sit there and take 100 photos, and people will want to think, oh, they take one photo and it's bad. I have 40,000 photos. I probably have 300,000 which were terrible that are deleted by now. Like, you just gotta have patience with it. But for one, reflections, that is one big issue to overcome. So what I would always do, step one, I'd switch off all lights and I'd black out any light that I can find. If that means taping a bag to your roof and letting it hang down and block out something, or like finding gambiarra is a word I like. It's Portuguese. It basically means unconventional fix for something. So just anything to block out light. Find a way to block out anything to only have your tank so that the reflections, there's nothing to reflect off of. That's step one. Then
Yeah.
I would, my light actually, it does have a white light setting. Obviously, I can change the settings. So I would normally take photos with the white light settings because that helps. It really just, blue light and photos do not mix at all. So if you change to the white light, I actually sometimes, rather than having the blue light settings on, I would take these, those plastic folders or binders. I'm trying to find one now, like these kind of things.
Yeah.
These. So I would find like a blue, it's transparent, and I'd find like a blue one of these, and I'd place that over my light, and that would be my blue light for the photo, because it comes across on the photo better than the actual blue light if it was blue.
That's amazing.
So I would I would try anything until it looks okay.
Yeah.
I was very determined. Just literally look around you. What do you have? You have this stained glass. Okay. What can I do with the stained glass to make a cool photo? How can I
Right.
put it somewhere or hang it or put it on the camera lens? You just try everything with anything you have until it looks good. Another thing also was not being scared to use my phone. The camera is great, but sometimes the phone just works better. You really just got to practice and learn when to use what. It's all practice, and manual settings also help. It takes a lot of effort maybe in the beginning to learn how ISO and shutter speed and all these weird temperatures and things work, but once you figure out and understand what they do, you can really manipulate the photo how you want it to be, which really helps you, because then you're not just waiting for a good environment to take the photo. You're creating the environment for yourself. And I think one of the biggest things which people miss so easily with photography is framing. How you frame your photo can completely change how professional it looks. if you cut the fish off like a tiny bit of the tail versus if that full fish is in frame, it will look so much better. But also if you have maybe like half the fish, it might look not as good as if you have 3/4 of the fish. Photography is really like applicable in the reef keeping photography. You can take all of the ideas you learn from normal photography and apply it, especially with composition and things like that. If you frame it nicely, you block out reflections, you will basically be guaranteed a good photo.
And do you put your camera right up to the glass, or do you stand a bit back?
So with my phone, I basically always did right up to the glass. I
Okay.
found that worked really, really good. With the camera, I couldn't really do that because the camera, obviously, with the lenses, if it's a zoom lens, obviously you have to be a certain distance away for it to be able to focus. So
Right.
with a camera, you kind of have to be further away. And with a curved glass, that creates big issues. So that's
Right.
why if I wanted to shoot on the curved portion, I had to be right up to it. So I either had to use a really short lens, which had a very wide view, or I had to use my phone, which was generally then the preferred one to shoot from the front. But right up to the glass is a really nice, it works really well. It can actually make your photo look a lot better than if it was just a little bit out.
Yeah, I mean, assuming your glass is clean, that's the thing
Yes,
that always keeps me
that's
better.
also, yeah, I always clean my glass right before a photo because you can see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cleaning the glass on the outside, did you just use water, or did you get your mom to use her sunlight again too?
I actually, maybe a bit risky, but I used window lean.
Okay. Yeah.
But I was very careful with my application. Like I made sure to not get anywhere near the water, but I did use some kind of glass cleaning product to make it
Okay.
super crystal clear.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I try the vinegar and water and just plain water, and it doesn't get there all the way.
Yeah.
I've tried alcohol as well, but
Mm.
also not quite there.
It's difficult to always try new products, but once you find one that works, it really makes life easy.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's next for you? So, you're saying you want to tank one day. There's photography, your other hobbies, your studies. What's the plan for the next year or two?
So the plan is I need to try find my way home because staying in res and having a tank is not that easy. But I plan to try and move home and to try and start up a tank. So I have my plants going, they fine, they don't need as much maintenance, but the tank is the one thing I really want to get going. So
Right.
I'm gonna start saving now. I recently had a little bit of an oopsie. I broke my laptop, so I have to pay for that to get fixed first. So the
Right.
tank pushed back a few months, but I plan to start saving and buy the tank maybe within the next few months so that I can start cycling it to begin actually having fun from next year, maybe January
Cool.
or February. That is
Yeah.
the plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. And I mean, one final question. What's
Okay.
the most controversial thing in reef keeping that you hold to be true?
I think the most controversial thing for me is definitely the fact that I think you can keep SBS with very little equipment, with a hell of a lot of maintenance and a lot of weird mechanisms. Because I managed to do it somehow, and I like my first ever SBS was like plating Montipora,
Okay.
and I got this when my tank was filled with cyanobacteria, and it had like 3 different algae in it. Now this was all from. Eventually, I got rid of this stuff, and it also had some flatworms. It was a big issue. This was all to do with me not dipping my corals. Dip your corals. Don't be like me. Don't try save money without dipping your corals. It's not worth it. And even though like I had all these problems all the time, my macroalgae, which was taking over half the tank, really helped to keep things stable. So it costs a bit more salt and things because you always removing big loads of macroalgae. So you have to replenish that water because the macroalgae is like mostly water. But it's a really efficient way to get nutrients out of your system without having a protein skimmer or something. So I actually managed to grow SBS without a protein skimmer because I couldn't afford one.
Unheard
Which
of.
was- yeah, it's kind of crazy. So that's
Yeah.
probably my biggest unpopular opinion, but I really don't recommend it. because you can do it, but it's not sustainable long term. That is
Sure.
one reason why I had to take it down. It's just so much maintenance that it's not worth it. Buy equipment, but it is possible. Whoever tells
Yeah.
you it's not possible, they're lying. That's my 2 cents.
Great. Well, thanks, Josh. We really appreciate it. I mean, it's exciting having someone from university. As you said, we're very keen to branch out there to get more people into the hobby, or
Yeah.
to just coordinate the students who might be into the hobby but can't meet each other. So I'm very excited to have you on board and have you as part of the Reef Club.
Yeah.
And thank you for your time. We really appreciate it and your insights. I mean, I'm super impressed. You started. I mean, you're an OG reefer, and you're only in university. So it's great having you as part of the club.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. It's really exciting.
Cool. Cheers, Josh.
Cheers.